In 2026, a quiet phenomenon is unfolding across the Philippine archipelago. Thousands of Israeli students have begun moving to cities like Manila, Cebu, and Davao. The numbers are astonishing. More than 8,000 young Israelis have enrolled in local universities in just the past year. This is not a minor trend, but a movement so large that it has surprised even local education officials. What makes this migration truly shocking is its scale and suddenness. Dormitories near universities fill with new faces. Cafes buzz with Hebrew conversations. Yet unlike other migrations, this one is not fueled by crisis or conflict. Instead, it's a journey of hope, curiosity, and deep gratitude that began quietly and grew rapidly. At first glance, the reasons seem practical. Education, adventure, and affordability top the list. But beneath the surface, there is something more. An untold story of connection that reaches back generations. Each student carries with them a sense of purpose, to explore, to learn, and to give thanks for a kindness shown long before they were born. This is the story of why so many Israeli students are now calling the Philippines their second home, a movement born from both necessity and the invisible bonds of history. Despite the undeniable scale of this migration, global media has barely noticed. Headlines are filled with stories of conflict, politics, and disaster, but the story of Israeli students in the Philippines floats under the radar. Most news outlets have not covered the thousands of young men and women quietly crossing continents for school. This silence is striking. In an age where every small event is shared and dissected online, how could such a large migration remain invisible? The answer lies in its peacefulness. These students arrive not as refugees or political exiles, but as guests. They blend into campus life, eager to learn, often speaking English or even Filipino after just a few months. Local communities notice the growing number of Israelis, but for most outsiders the change is subtle. There are no protests, no crises, and no urgent political debates. Instead, there is only the gentle hum of new friendships and cultural exchange. It is a movement defined by quiet optimism rather than loud drama. Perhaps this is why the movement feels so extraordinary. It is not driven by fear or desperation, but by a search for belonging and meaning. In a world obsessed with headlines, the true stories often unfold in the spaces between the news. When asked why they chose the Philippines, Israeli students give simple, honest answers. The cost of education is much lower than in Europe or the United States. Tuition, living expenses, and daily needs are affordable, making it possible for more families to send their children abroad. The universities offer high-quality programs, especially in medicine, engineering, and business. Language is another important factor. Many universities teach in English, which makes it easier for Israeli students to adapt. Even those who do not speak English fluently at first quickly pick up the skills they need. Over time, many also learn Filipino, making everyday life simpler and helping them build friendships with locals. But it's not just about cost or language. Israeli students are drawn to the warmth and hospitality of Filipino culture. They talk about being welcomed with open arms, invited to family gatherings, and included in campus activities. The culture is open, friendly, and values respect. A perfect place for young people to grow, explore, and find themselves. For many, this move is a chance to step outside their comfort zones, to discover a new country, and to create a new chapter in their lives. It's a journey shaped by both practical needs and a sense of adventure. Beneath the practical reasons lies a deeper, more emotional motivation. Many Israeli students speak of family stories passed down from grandparents and great-grandparents. These stories are not just about hardship, they are about hope, gratitude, and the kindness of strangers. During World War II, the Philippines opened its doors to Jewish refugees fleeing the horrors of Europe. This act of rescue is not forgotten. For many Jewish families, the Philippines became a symbol of safety and friendship in a dark time. Decades later, their grandchildren and great-grandchildren still remember. Some students describe feeling a calling to go to the Philippines, as if repaying a debt of gratitude. Parents encourage their children to embrace this part of their history. They see studying in the Philippines as a way to honor the past, to say thank you in the most personal way possible. It is not just a practical choice, but a moral one, a chance to build new bridges and renew old friendships. These family memories turn a simple study abroad experience into something much bigger, a living, breathing connection between two nations shaped by kindness and courage. The story of this migration cannot be told without remembering President Manuel Quezon. In the late 1930s, as Jewish families faced persecution in Europe, Quezon made a bold decision. Against political pressure and uncertainty, he opened the doors of the Philippines to thousands of Jewish refugees. He welcomed them with food, shelter, and the promise of safety. This act of generosity saved countless lives. The Jewish community in Manila flourished, forming lasting bonds with Filipino neighbors. President Quezon's courage and compassion became a legend among Jewish families. For decades, stories of the Philippine miracle have been told and retold in Israeli homes. Today, these stories live on in the hearts of young Israelis. When they walk the streets of Manila, some visit the old synagogue or the memorials to Jewish refugees. They feel a sense of belonging, as if history itself has given them a home far from home. Quezon's actions did more than save lives. They planted seeds of friendship that are now blossoming in a new generation. The current wave of Israeli students is living proof that acts of kindness echo across time. For many Israeli students, life in the Philippines feels like coming home. They talk about being welcomed into Filipino families, invited to birthdays and fiestas, and joining in local traditions. The warmth of the Filipino people eases their homesickness and makes adaptation easier. Some students share stories of learning to cook adobo or joining basketball games with their Filipino classmates. Others remember being comforted by a neighbor during a typhoon or being tutored in Tagalog by their roommates. These small acts of kindness make a big difference. It is not always easy. There are moments of loneliness or confusion, especially in the beginning, but over time, the sense of belonging grows. Israeli students often say they feel safer and happier in the Philippines than they expected. They become ambassadors of their own culture, sharing Israeli traditions while embracing Filipino ones. These personal journeys are the true heart of this migration. It is about more than education. It is about friendship, gratitude, and becoming part of a new family. Beyond history and daily life, a legend adds another layer to the story. Some believe the Philippines is the biblical land of Ophir, a place rich in gold, wisdom, and ancient ties to Israel. While historians debate this theory, it sparks curiosity and wonder among students. It becomes a symbol of deeper connections, both real and imagined. On campuses, Israeli and Filipino students celebrate holidays together: Hanukkah beside Christmas, Passover alongside Holy Week. Student groups organize language exchanges, food festivals, and volunteer work in local communities. These acts of cultural sharing are small but powerful. As Israelis and Filipinos learn from each other, they build understanding that goes beyond textbooks or news reports. They discover that their histories, once connected by a single act of kindness, can now be woven together by friendship and respect. Each shared meal, each holiday, each act of help is a quiet way of healing old wounds and building hope. In the end, the movement of Israeli students to the Philippines is more than a story of migration. It is a living bridge between two nations, built by gratitude, curiosity, and the belief that small acts of kindness can change the world.